Okay, good, because we're going to try some audience participation. Is that the translators? I think you've been talking to me and this other guy over there, the only two people you've been talking to, but great job, so thank you. Okay, so 10 minutes on TripAdvisor, and more specifically, TripAdvisor and how it relates to Greece. Some very quick stats to begin with. 45 domains in 26 different languages. A real standout stat there, 350 million unique visitors every month. The previous chap, who's actually meant to be on the next panel, but spoke on this panel, gave a really nice insights into the effect of terrorism and things like that on Greece. What's really interesting about that is that it was 1,000 people, okay? 1,000 people survey. That stands up as a survey. What we're going to look at now, though, is the opinions of 350 million people every month. So, okay, it may flatten the things out a little bit, but it gives you a really, really broad opinion as to what's happening. Some other stats there, I won't bother reading them out. What is quite interesting, though, is the average rating on TripAdvisor is 4 out of 5, okay? One of the biggest criticisms TripAdvisor has always had has been like, oh, the bloke who owns the restaurant down the road left me a bad review. For every bad review, there's 99 good reviews. I can promise you of that. And just looking at the number of, these are the number of properties and things are on there. So there's now 3 million restaurants on TripAdvisor, 950,000 hotels, 560,000 attractions, and 720,000 vacation rentals. The only point I'm trying to make here is that there's a lot of stuff going on at TripAdvisor. So when we talk about trends that are happening globally, they are very representative of what is generally happening in the world. So, Greece on TripAdvisor. This is the number of people around the world looking at Greek content in 2013. Not surprisingly, more people look at it in the summer, less people look at it in November and December, and it comes up again in January. Because when January hits, everyone thinks, where am I going to go for my holiday this year? Oh, that one went backwards. I was expecting to go the other way. But in 2014, you can see, funnily enough, the same kind of patterns. People, research more in the summer, less in December and January, and picking up again in January. And last year, we can see that, the growth of interest of people interested in Greece just keeps growing year upon year upon year. It's a great story. Now then, what you will notice at the tail end of last year, November, December, and January, that growth has sort of stagnated, okay? The gap between 2014 and 2015, it's narrowed off, okay? But I would still say crisis, what crisis, okay, for Greece? If you look at most of your competitor destinations, the last 3 months of 2015 were fairly unprecedented in terms of people's attitudes about travel around the world. There's no doubt about it, the Paris attacks and things like that. People suddenly went, wow, the world has changed. So the very fact that Greece is riding that wave very well, it bears well for the future. And what we also noticed, and actually the gentleman, 2 speakers before, was very accurate. Well, of course he was accurate, but it's very, as I always said, which is when there is a terrorist attack or something like that, yes, there'll be an initial bit of a halted interest, but places bounce back very, very quickly. So, who loves Greece? Who doesn't love Greece? This looks at the most top 20 most popular markets, looking at Greece on TripAdvisor over the last 3 years. I hope you can make those figures out. So the United Kingdom is number 1, followed by Greece. Now, Greece can be a bit of a misnomer because that could actually, or does actually represent international visitors coming to Greece, looking at Greece on their mobile phones, looking at TripAdvisor, what restaurant shall I go to tonight? That will show up as someone being in Greece. But also it reflects domestic interest as well about people, wanting to tour domestically. Italy, United States, and so on and so forth. But just to really pull that out, in the last 3 years, there's been over 100 million unique sessions looking at Greece from the UK market alone. Now, we may not look pretty when we come and sit on your beaches, but at least we know the money is going back into the Greek economy. So, One thing that always comes up for most destinations that we speak to, they always say, our food is great. Our food is, it's a reason to come to the destination. The UNWTO did a study that 88% out of all destinations around the world say, come to our destination because of our food. If 88% of them are saying it, your food's really got to stand out, for, to that really make a determinant factor. So this now looks at Greece's average rating for their restaurants over the past year. And you can see that it averages a very healthy between 4.2 and 4.4 out of 5. That's really good, okay? Now then, the reason I asked you to raise your hand if you could hear me, because I want you to raise your hands again. Do you think Greece's average rating is higher or lower than the global average? If you think Greece's rating is higher, can you raise your hand, please? Just raise your hands. Well done. Greece is much better than the global average, okay? Now, looking at some of your competitors, Turkey, do you think Turkey's cuisine is considered higher or lower than Greece is? So if you think, right, I'll make it easy. If you think Greece is higher than Turkey, raise your hand. But not by much. So it's quite close, but generally speaking, Greece is considered to have better cuisine than Turkey. Much better, in my opinion. That is fish and chips, which can only represent the United Kingdom, not known for our cuisine. So I'm not even going to ask you to raise your hands. You all know that the UK, apart from Demetrios, who likes his fish and chips, surely the UK's cuisine is not rated as highly. Correct. It's right down there. But the culinary capital of the world, France. French cuisine. Everyone loves French cuisine. Does Greece beat France? Raise your hands if you think Greece beats France. O ye of little faith. France actually rates really, really low, okay? And this is probably the key point when it comes to TripAdvisor ratings. A TripAdvisor rating is not saying it's a 5-star restaurant. It's not saying it's got a Michelin star. It's saying this experience exceeded my expectations or didn't reach my expectations. So I might go into a restaurant in Paris and have a very, very nice 5-star meal. But you know what? It wasn't the best thing ever, and it was very expensive, so it didn't quite make, so I'm going to give it 3.5 out of 5. Whereas I might go to as I did last night, and have a kebab in Thessaloniki, and it was €3, and it tasted amazing, and I'm going to give that a 5, because it absolutely did what I wanted to do, and I leave the backing for it. So, who likes what? That is your overall restaurant ratings over the past 3 years. So again, hanging in there about a 4.3. Now we're going to look at not their cuisine, but what these markets, your top performing markets, how they rate Greek cuisine. So the UK, do you think they like your cuisine? Raise your hands if you think they like it. Oh, sorry, that's a picture of English people on holiday. Yes, they love it, okay? Germany, do you think Germany likes the Greek cuisine? Raise your hands. This is so easy. American tourists. Yeah, they like it too. So again, your three of your 5 biggest markets are rating your cuisine much higher than the rest of the world does. How do you like your own cuisine? You like it? No, you don't. You rate yourselves really low. You don't give yourselves very high marks. That actually is very, very similar for most destinations. Most destinations, they rate themselves lower. Now then, there's a mystery destination here, and I hope, yeah. So there's one destination around the world that actually consistently just, wow, 4.8 out of 5. If anyone gets this right, okay, I will buy you dinner tonight at a kebab restaurant of your choice. So Italy, anyone else want to say? France, Spain? Okay, there's a reason why I'm offering dinner. No one's going to get it. So think more obscure. Korea, not bad. Korea, I tell you, it's actually Iraq. So Iraq really, really rate your cuisine highly. However, the final point, am I right for time?
You have 2 more minutes.
2 more minutes, okay. So the final point I want to make is everyone always says food, 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 food. But actually, when we look at the average ratings, there's 3 things you can rate on TripAdvisor. Places to stay, places to eat, and things to do. So that's the average rating over the past year for places to stay. Again, don't be too concerned about that big drop in the summer. That's very reflective of countries that have a high season. The more tourists who come in, quite often you bring in temporary staff. Quite often, you know, people get a bit more demanding because it is their big summer holiday, and it's still rating above 4 out of 5. So don't worry about that. But that's places to stay. If we look at places to eat, you can see that, yeah, a little bit better. But really, where Greece completely stands out is on your things to do, your attractions, the unique offerings that Greece has to offer. With the best will in the world, you can get Greek cuisine pretty much everywhere around the world. With the best will in the world, even really great hotels with great architecture, a hotel is still somewhat a hotel. But it's the unique things about Greece that really, in my opinion, that's what we should really be pushing to the international audience. So the quick summary of Greece in 10 minutes. Greece is the 6th most popular destination on TripAdvisor in terms of unique visits. Pretty good. The UK is your biggest market, followed by Italy and the United States. Everyone loves your food. Everyone. But they love your things to do even more. Your biggest competitors, and this is looking at who looks at Greece and then what other countries they look at in that same session, is Turkey and Spain. Probably not news to you. And to a degree, crisis, what crisis? I don't wish to sound flippant about these things, but so far we have not seen a drop in interest in Greece. We have seen a drop in interest for a lot of other your competitor destinations. So hopefully 2016 and indeed 2017 could be record ever years for Greece and northern Greece in particular. And thank you very much for listening.
Thank you. Μετά την ολοκλήρωση αυτής της πολύ ενδιαφέρουσας ομιλίας, υπάρχει κάποια ερώτηση από το κοινό που θα θέλαμε να κάνουμε πριν προχωρήσουμε στην τελευταία μας ομιλήτρια? Ωραία. Έχουμε εδώ μια ερώτηση. Υπάρχει κάποιο μικρόφωνο? Σηκωθείτε όρθιος, αν μπορείτε, ναι.
You can answer me from your place. It's okay.
I'll stand up.
Okay. That's from Chalkidiki Hotels Association. I would like to ask you something. How can TripAdvisor? Okay, TripAdvisor, people trust it. It's a company, but it's a profit company. Okay, it's a company that wants to make profit. How can TripAdvisor help us in order to expand the season in northern Greece?
I think the honest answer is how do you help yourselves?
365 days, eh?
Sorry?
365 days. It's the...
Oh, I see. You help yourselves. You give the best possible service and the best possible experience for your visitors, and you encourage them to leave reviews. TripAdvisor doesn't really do anything except facilitate reviews. So the better the experience, and the more you encourage your guests, your visitors, your people who stay at your restaurants to leave reviews and leave them all year round, the more people will read them and the more people will see.
Okay, TripAdvisor, when I tried to contact TripAdvisor, it's too difficult for me, okay? In my hotels, personally, I use Revinate in order to contact TripAdvisor. It's because it's a mega partner of yours. And, okay, and how is it possible to make an advertisement with the less, because, okay, what crisis, but we have financial crisis.
Yeah.
That's the point.
Give me a shout. We can talk afterwards if you
Okay,
want.
okay.
I mean, I don't think everyone wants to learn how to advertise on TripAdvisor, but if you do, hey, I'm here.
Okay.
It's a better idea, yes. Thank you. Another question? Okay, so you have more questions, then we have the cocktail, and you can contact Mr. REID. So